And with today's motivation, we are concluding the summer season and allowing our autumn season presence, right? And today I'm standing without my shoes on for this motivation. Of course, we're going to share our shoe video in our photos. And while motivating our generation in season, I want to really have us listen to what does the fashion motivation mean to a generation that are living in so much color. And I've really, during the time while I'm educating color on my AWOKH business, experienced a lot of oppressions while I find myself educating a color journey. I know that a color journey are not required to be a one-sided education because it's my life journey that I share with the audience. But if your life journey are not that graced in the currentness of your day, I always educate, then no one should educate themselves to aggress your current life journey and education, right? So no one should come and aggress your house under the controls of technology, of television, that people can aggress houses, police, the Navy, the FBI, that has got control mechanisms that they set off in circumstances of war in houses and in countries, and in certain circumstances where people have to defend themselves. And when I feel today I'm ripped apart with the aggressions of while I'm on my life journey, and while my life journey called me to the birth womb of Auckland, New Zealand, to present my mama Anna Philander in the education and birth womb of my mama in her international birth, then I really acknowledge myself in the birth womb, right? You acknowledge yourself in presenting. I always say on AWOKH 2024, everything you seasons. And everything you seasons means you do not disregard your presence and where you find yourself at and how you educate your birth womb season, right? It's one thing for people to come and aggress your day and you find yourself having to defend yourself. It's another thing for someone else to come and educate themselves that you are an aggressive person. So there's a difference, right? And I always say that there's no two ways about these circumstances, right? You can't dress and undress a person in the same function, in the human function of human beings. And how fashion and technology and television and entertainment and everyone in the education function have learned to aggress the fashion house and the celebrity house in America while they are dressing, because New Zealand sometimes want to present fashion in a way that is dressing fine and full of color, when in actual fact, Ribea, Elise in Auckland, New Zealand find herself being dressed and undressed under the same communication. And therefore, for everyone managing those communications, do not disturb us in the educational season, and let's function on the journey Ribea, Elise, rather than wanting to paint ourselves a picture of this is how we want Ribea, Elise to reveal how aggressive she can get on any day or the other. And with coloring that fashion season today, I would really want us to present everything you about your education, your presentation, about your birth womb, about where we find ourselves at in educating and representing self in our seasons. And with representing the fashion season, I can't not have us take our seat to that is, how do you allow yourself to be present in your season? How do you allow yourself to listen to you acknowledging self in everything seasons? How do you allow yourself to listen to that? There is so much I said about the birth womb of humanity, but our representation is, how do I acknowledge myself in the birth womb of humanity, right? It is one thing if you're going to agree with everything that everyone argues about amongst humanity, and you're going to find yourself in the seat of exactly that. And it's another thing if we educate ourselves that where we are at, this is the life journey, and however the picture might seem to people who have designed and who have assisted in designing the building of the house, the setting of the stairway, everything you seasons, it is how do you acknowledge your birthright in presenting you seasons. And therefore, with everything that we are challenged with in fashion and outside of fashion, I'm reminded of representing, presenting, and acknowledging self in our AWOKH Fashion Book Sunday today. and in our AWOKH Fashion Book autumn season of this year 2024. I know my house has been constructed in a way where something odd happened in South Africa many years ago, and I've mentioned it numerous times on my videos, where the woman got home, she was in a marriage, the husband was on police defense force, and while he came home, he had his gun on him, and they had an aggression, and he shot the woman. And New Zealand has built this house for Ribea, Elise, and the woman was still sitting there on the stairways, and she was still having a good day, and she came from work, and she was quietly sitting on the stairways, and there was probably no one that would understand and listen to all that was happening around the house on that day. And while I find myself, and someone has designed my AWOKH fashion season like that, we allow ourselves to listen to that in all that people want to acknowledge and disacknowledge you on your journey in life, you allow yourself to birth everything you seasons. You allow yourself to voice you in every color. Even when I do my food, I call it a greasy bowl and a greasy spoon, and you allow that greasy spoon on your table that day. You allow that greasy bowl on your table that day. It is you allowing you that represents everything you seasons, right? And that's where we are at with AWOKH Fashion Motivation. Enjoy our fashion photos and fashion season with us. Have an amazing AWOKH Fashion Book Sunday.